drink the other day there. Hey, wait, no. Get up in the bar. One about
Here is a picture of Mr. Charles R. Thomas. It's his day today in the Testing, testing. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. We also, at this event, happen to be in the company of some of the earlier pioneers of the fire department. We have here Mr.
James Edwards.
And Mr.
Manuel Henderson.
And these were the ones who were part of the early integration of the black firefighters. So when did you graduate from the fire department?
February 8th, 1954.
And what was it like?
Wonderful.
And what was the experience like?
It was wonderful.
And how did you feel about being, well, let's put it this way, how large was your class?
We had a class of 50-something men, but 21 of us was black.
Okay, and after 21, how many got out? I mean, how many?
All of us graduated.
Oh, excellent, wonderful. Yeah. And so are you still active?
Oh, no, that's like almost like 50 or some years ago.
And what was Baltimore like as a fireman in '54?
Oh, it was very interesting. It was a funny thing. There's a lot of segregation and stuff like that going on, but we persevered and things went on very well for us because we was able to handle it.
Okay, and how did you feel though about having to eat in separate kitchens and
well, we didn't actually. We might have set at separate tables and like in the kitchen, and some companies wouldn't let you drink coffee. We didn't like it, but we were able to have a set persevere.
Excellent. And how was it for you? You want to tell us You want to tell us your name again?
My name is Manuel Henderson.
And you graduated when?
In March of 1957.
And how was that for you?
Well, I was very happy to get the job. And we had a hard time.
You want to tell us a little bit about that hard time?
Well, we had a hard time. We couldn't eat with people. We couldn't sleep with people. We couldn't, there's so many things we couldn't do. And everything we did, we had to do on our own and try to make things move further along. So we organized through a great man, I call him today, Charlie Thomas. He started it all for us to get our heads together and start on the path that we could get to where we are today.
Excellent.
No, yes. I also add that we had organizations behind us, NAACP, Urban League, who somewhat coached us on how to react when we went into the fire department. And so this was somewhat similar to, I'm not comparing us to Jackie Robinson, but in other words, you know how they had to coach him.
Right.
So we were coached, and a lot of that helped. And of course, even at that, we still had some fights. And all that. So that's what I want to add to it.
And
Okay.
we still would like to mention a couple other people, I mean, that we had tremendous help from during our struggle. And that's Miriam C. Bascom for one.
Yes, sir.
I mean, and Berta Welcome
Yes.
and Clarence Mitchell. I mean, these people helped us immensely during the time, Urban League and also the NAACP. But these people they was out front when we really needed them. And thank God that we persevered.
That's right.
Thank God.
Right. Well, I'm trying to imagine what it was like though when you're in the middle of like fighting a fire and you're having to work with those who were not African American and making you feel safe. And was it any problems with you in doing your job?
Well, I could say truly, I never had a problem in fighting fires. And I never had trouble fighting fires with the guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that our trouble seemed to happen back in the firehouse.
Okay.
You know, our troubles on the fireground, I didn't have any troubles on the fireground, and I did my job. And everybody else had a job to do, and you did it.
Okay, so pretty much when you were out fighting the fires, there was a certain unity there. But
It was a unity.
separated when
I
you-
think so. And to me, when I felt oppressed for a long time.
Mhm.
And then as we organized and tried to get ourselves together and understand that we were free and we wanted to be free. And we struggled, but through SAF, Social Association of Firefighter, also Charles Thomas started, and Valve Open Blazes. These are the kind of things that helped us along. If we hadn't had those things behind us and people like Charlie, we
Okay.
wouldn't be anywhere today.
Well, what were some of the things that you found that you had to do though to win your so-called your freedom? I mean, to express
it
that.
was never we never won it. We're still fighting now. It's very civil now, but I would say adding to what Manuel said about firefighting. Segregation is funny. In the midst of a fire, if I go down, the white boy do everything in his power to keep me going. He'd give me mouth to mouth or whatever. But if he come back to the engine house, then he didn't want to drink out the same cup. You see, so it's a funny segregation.
Yeah,
Funny, very funny. So those are things that I was wanting to bring out, and let's also say, everybody of the white persuasion was not really bad. They wasn't bad to us. Because it's just like in the civil rights movement, if it hadn't been for some, things wouldn't be as it is today. So we recognize and realize this is what happened. So that's what we are doing.
Okay, that's wonderful. So, what are some of the things you want to say to the younger people today about who inspired to become firemen?
Well, I would say to the young people, it's one of the best jobs you can have there in this world. Because first of all, our job was to save lives and save property. And just have pride in your job, because that's what we had back in those days. We had pride. And company against company, no matter what color you was, when you got on that fireground, you served your company as any war or anything else would be. I would tell all the young men now, get in, study, learn, go as far as you can, do what you can, do your job. Don't sit around and wait and see what people are going to do. Do what you're supposed to do. You know the rules, follow the rules and regulations, you will make it all the way to the end like I am. And I'm a happy man. I've been retired for 23 years. And thank God that I'm alive and only got one scar the whole time I was fighting fire. And I fought fires.
Well, thank you, and I want to thank you for joining us. It's wonderful and my pleasure. Go back and enjoy the party and have a good time, and I'll catch up with you later with my drink.
Sure.
And thank you again for
It's
calling.
just so good
And
to
thank
just
you
talk
for
about it.
being with us, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. We have a couple of more firefighters from the early days. We want to talk to. Your name is
Carl W. Miles.
Mr. Miles. Look at the camera and let us see your beautiful face.
Carl W. Miles.
Mr. Miles and
Harlan R. Davenport.
Mr. Davenport. And you want to tell us what year you graduated?
I graduated in September 1956.
1956. You have to speak a little louder.
September 1956.
I'm sure you'd be saying, "Oh, hey, throw that ladder down here." They heard you then, didn't they? Okay. You want to tell us about that experience? What was it like being a firefighter back then?
Well, it was different. It was different. We, on the fire ground, we worked together. But back in the firehouse, we had separate toilets, separate sinks. Our bed was like in the corner, and we couldn't use the dishes. We had to bring our own dishes, cups and things. It was different. And we couldn't, we had no privileges for exchanging the television or reading the papers and stuff like that. But it was very, very different. You
Just
know,
simple things that kind of
simple things that it made you demean like, you know, strange. But when the gun went off, we went on the fire ground. We did our job because every person on that wagon, hook and ladder, had a certain thing that he did.
Mm-hmm.
And we did our job. And I was in an engine company when I first went in, and then I got transferred to a trucking company, and I got to become an emergency vehicle driver. I drove a hook and ladder.
Mm-hmm.
And the fellas on the fire ground, we didn't have too much segregation on the fire ground, but the segregation was all within the firehouse.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to live within the rules. And until Charlie Thomas and a lot of more people, you know, we worked as black firefighters. We formed social association of firefighters and then the Vulcan Blazers, and we worked together.
And that's important. As a firefighter, did you feel, as an African American firefighter in those days, did you feel that you had to give like a 110% performance in order to be accepted?
I think I did. Yeah. And I always did my job. I did it the best I could.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have anybody to follow to train. I had to watch them to see what they were doing to learn the job.
You mean they actually would not sit down with you and show you what it was they wanted
talk
you to
to
do?
me. They would eat, like say I come in the morning, they would eat. I say good morning. They just look at me, and I just would go on, change my clothes, and be ready to do the job. But they wouldn't say anything to me.
How did that make you feel as a person and as a firefighter and what you were trying to accomplish?
Well, I just kind of overlooked it because, like I say, before coming into the fire department, I worked at Martin's, and I worked in an all-white gang freight, unloading freight.
Mm-hmm.
And I always got along great. You know, I mean, they treated me good, but like I say, when I came in the fire department, it looked like it changed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the only thing they would let me get into the coonskin to read the paper, but a lot of times I'd be sitting there looking at the TV. They get tired of looking at it, turn it off. See, I had nothing in it, you know.
As if you were not even there.
Yeah, right.
What's this coon thing? What's that you just mentioned?
Coonskin.
Yeah, what's that?
It's a fund
Fun that we have.
that they had to pay for the papers and stuff like that.
Coffee,
Coffee.
sugar, salt, pepper, like that. We have what we call a coonskin in the firehouse, which the coonskin consists of, we buying sugar, coffee, cream, salt and pepper, and certain other things that the firemen use in the firehouse. And we put up X amount of money every pay for that. And it was fine, but a lot of the houses didn't allow the black firefighters to be in it.
At all? They had to live like at home?
They had to bring everything they used. They had to bring with them. You couldn't use the same. You had to bring your own cup, your own coffee, and your own cream and sugar.
And how did you feel about that?
I felt like I felt left out, which I was left out. And then when in my firehouse, 3 Engine, where I got first assigned to it, we had a captain there who was a very liberal man. And he said, he made the statement, if we're going to have a coonskin in this firehouse, every member of this house will be in it. Well, some of the guys didn't want to be in it with a black firefighter. But I was in it. And I had my first lieutenant who was a funny man, but I learned from him because I listened and I watched. And that's what you have to do when nobody want to teach you. You have to watch and you have to learn. And I tried to do my best on the fire ground. And if you did your best, somebody might be involved in the fire. You have to go in and you have to help get them out. You know?
Now, another question. You said that you were there. Were there others? Did you have companions there, or were you just
I was
pretty
only
much
black.
the only black?
I was only black on my
Oh,
shift.
that must have been really humiliating. I mean,
Well,
demeaning.
It was very demeaning because sometimes if I got detailed to another house, I walk in and say good morning, nobody would say anything. And I remember one incident, I got detailed to a firehouse over in Highlandtown, and I walked in that evening and I said good evening, nobody said nothing. Well, I detailed, I was the only black firefighter there, and I walk in, I say good evening, and my detail said, you detailed the 20 truck. Well, I put my stuff on 20 truck. Well, that night about 9:30, we got to run. And I jumped on 20 truck, but when the company came back from the fire, the lieutenant said, don't you know where you were supposed to ride, boy? I said, my detail said 20 truck. He said, you know, when the truck go out, you're supposed to ride the engine. You're supposed to be the jump man, swing man. I said, well, did you tell me that when I came here? I said, you didn't even speak to me. And we had a misunderstanding
Yeah, I was
about
going
it.
to ask you how was his response to that.
And he started cursing, and I started cursing. He said, don't curse me. I said, you curse me, and I'm a man just like you. And I was wrong, but I left the firehouse. And the chief hand came by my house and got me, and he asked me what happened. I told him. He said, I'm going to send you back to 3 Engine. He said, I'm going to detail you back to 20 truck tomorrow night. You got a problem with that? I said, no, I don't have a problem. And I went back there, and when I walked in that evening, I said, good evening. And the lieutenant said, you ride leadoff, man, on 41 Engine. But things happen to black firefighters, and you have to speak up for yourself. Well, I was in the 1st Battalion then, and I got transferred to the 8th Battalion, which is a hook and ladder. And I enjoyed that because, you know, I got a chance to go in and save people's life.
Wonderful.
And
I want to ask you again about being the only black. I understand that they only provided one space per
One
house
bed,
for
one bed,
for.
and we had to bring all of our own equipment. But a lot of times the guys get detailed, they would use another firefighter in that house equipment. But when a black firefighter got detailed, he had to take all his equipment with him.
Okay, I'm going to ask Mr. Davenport a question, but I understand that you're one of the highest decorated firefighters. You want to tell us about maybe one of your,
Well,
you didn't wear any today.
no. Well, I was had to be an emergency vehicle driver on truck 15, and before I was an emergency vehicle driver, I rode the hook and ladder. And the hook and ladder's job is to go overhaul, ventilate, and rescue. And I just happened to be at certain places at the right time, and I would go in and get people out. And I tell you, there's no feeling like it when you know you're responsible for saving a life.
Amen.
I cannot explain it.
That's wonderful. You want to tell us a little bit about some of your episodes or your events?
Well, I was in maybe 3-4 years before Carl was. I came through in April of 1954. And at that time, it was one other in my battalion that I was assigned to, and that was John Murray. And but we never worked together. We had the group system, like I say, we would pass each other, but we never was working together at any time. We had our own separate bowls, with our own separate beds. Like I say, brought our own utensils and coffee. If we drank coffee, we brought everything with us.
Now, how did you feel when you started seeing others joining your houses as time went on?
Well, some of the houses in the district that you got detailed to, a lot of times it's better than the house that you were in. I mean, the guys sort of treat you a little different. Like, say, some houses like 47, like get detailed. The guy said, that good, wash yourself a cup out and if you want some coffee, go and drink something.
But I mean, when more black men started integrating the firehouses, how did you begin to feel then?
Well, you got a chance to work with some of them, but like I say, if you were working and they had a detail, a black coming from another house, they sent him back because they didn't have no bed for him to sleep in, especially if it's night work. Daytime he might stay, but nighttime they'd have to send him back because they only had that one bed, and that was the bed I was sleeping in.
Okay, and as I asked the others, is there anything that you want to share with young people about what they if they have the initiative and the motivation to become firemen? What would you say?
I tried to in my course of time, in the 34, 5 years I was there, the younger fellows coming in, I would try to teach them as much as I knew. And about working and what they're supposed to do. And I was in the engine company for 5 years before going in the truck company for 14 years, and then coming back into an engine company. I retired after 11 years in an engine company after making a PO, which was driving back and forth and teaching fellows on the ship how to operate the pumper.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you for being with me today. Go back up and have a good time.
Okay. Thank you.
And thank you very much. We'll be right back.
Thank you.